Tonight on World's Most Amazing Videos, a monster truck wipes out, landing upside down. And a blazing building collapses, nearly crushing firefighters. Then a massive dust bowl engulfs a city, plunging it into darkness. Later, a village is under siege by a volcanic eruption. And a fighter jet loses control and crashes.
These are the incredible true life stories of people who face their most desperate hour and live to tell about it. Everything you are about to see is real. Real people, real danger, real excitement. Get ready to experience the thrill of a lifetime. You are about to witness the world's most amazing videos.
A Boeing 707, a jumbo jet that can carry 240 passengers and crew, is on final approach. But suddenly, the giant aircraft veers out of control. The jetliner explodes on impact, bursting into a massive fireball as it rockets down the tarmac to a blazing stop. Miraculously, no one is killed in this horrifying accident, and no one is even injured. That's because this jumbo jet was crashed on purpose. Edwards Air Force Base, California. The Federal Aviation Administration has teamed with NASA to test a new fuel additive designed to reduce the threat of fire in the event of a crash. The plane is filled with test dummies and is guided by remote control. Air Force veteran Fitz Fulton is the pilot for this uniquely challenging mission.
I've never had any desire to crash an airplane. I've spent my whole career trying to avoid that.
Using cockpit cameras and a computer-guided tracking system, Fitz will steer the aircraft from takeoff to its ultimate crash landing. Rocks placed on the tarmac will generate sparks as these jagged steel cutters rip through the jet's fuel tanks. The command is given. Fitz guides the aircraft as it takes off and reaches an altitude of 2,000 feet. Then, he controls the plane on its descent to the hazardous runway below. The left wing strikes the ground first as the jet swerves and erupts into flames. Watch again as a wing cutter punctures the tank, releasing fuel and igniting the explosion. Back at Mission Control, experts are disappointed that the special fuel has caused such an enormous blaze.
There was some thought that with that kind of fuel, you'd have less of a fireball.
But despite the explosion, the experiment is a success. That's because, though intense, the fire never reached the dummies inside the cabin. The cost of this crash test was $12 million. The lives it will save are priceless. Tokyo, Japan. A popular cooking show is featuring a segment on deep frying. Pots of oil heated to 247 degrees Celsius are used to cook assorted foods. But as the host drops a crab cake into the boiling oil, the stovetop catches fire. The woman tries to extinguish it with water, when suddenly the sweater erupts in flames, spreading to her head and chest with terrifying speed. Crew crew members rush to extinguish the blaze as the cook lies helplessly on the floor. But this is not a tragic accident. The young woman actually set herself on fire, on purpose. That's because this cook is really a stunt woman demonstrating the danger of grease fires. A camera mounted on her shoulder captures the moment the flames spread to her protective sweater. An asbestos mask and fireproof wig prevent the horrific blaze from burning her face. Safety crews quickly smother the fire before it burns through her flame-retardant clothing. Japanese officials hope this extreme demonstration will prevent real kitchen disasters, and in the end, save innocent lives. Montreal, Canada. A welder's torch sets off a blaze in a turn-of-the-century building. Firefighters are on the scene within minutes. Through the dense smoke, they make sure that everyone has made it out of the burning building. But just when it seems they'll have the fire under control, the water pressure in the hydrant gives out. Then, the fire explodes.
There was just a little bit of smoke coming out of one of the windows, and the firemen were already on the way I heard the things. Then all of a sudden it just caught, really, in 5 minutes, it looks like that.
The heat of the raging fire is intense. Without full water pressure, the firemen are forced to move dangerously close to the building. Then, without warning, the massive front wall collapses. Let's watch again. As the entire face of the building crashes to the ground, firefighters leap to safety to avoid being crushed by the tons of burning debris. All of the men are accounted for. Thankfully, every one of them has escaped without injury. But the danger is far from over. The rest of the structure collapses onto the street. Huge burning fragments rain down around the fire trucks. It's too late to save this ancient landmark.
It went very fast because the structure has a thatched roof and wooden walls. Makes it more vulnerable, and that's why it spread so fast.
But thanks to the swift action of these brave firefighters, no surrounding buildings were damaged and no lives were lost.
Coming up, a massive wave destroys a pier, nearly sweeping workers away. And a monster truck crashes violently and burns into flames. Later, a dust bowl hits a city, plunging it into darkness. When the world's most amazing videos continues.
Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It's the Renegade Monster Truck quarterfinals. Steve Kane is behind the wheel of a 7-ton gorilla of a truck appropriately named King Kong. Steve and challenger Gary Porter are at the starting line. And there they go. The trucks steamroll over 7 parked automobiles. Next, they take off over a row of 14 cars, leaving them flattened like pancakes. But then, disaster strikes. Steve's truck crashes into a pair of police cars and bursts into flames. Lieutenant David Smith is standing just a few feet away when his patrol car is smashed.
When I saw the truck on top of my car, I was a little in disbelief.
Let's take another look. Seconds into the race, Steve's truck barrels off the track on 2 wheels. It leaps over a cement barrier, taking out a steel signpost. Then, it skids sideways, flips onto the patrol cars, and explodes in a blast of fire. Members of Steve's pit crew fear that he's trapped inside the truck, burning alive. Rescuers race to put out the flames and save the driver. But incredibly, Steve has managed to escape uninjured through the back window. It recalls the helpless terror of being behind the wheel of his out-of-control monster truck.
When it hit that wall, I pretty much knew right then that that was the end of it. Whatever it was going to do is it was going to do by itself.
Then, to make matters worse, Steve's alcohol-injected engine ignites.
It had that flash fire, you know, I could feel the heat on my face and around my goggles. You know, I could feel it, you know, through my flame suit. I mean, it was hot.
Steve is now retired from the sport that almost took his life. And Police Lieutenant Smith learned a valuable lesson in his fiery brush with death.
My advice to any law enforcement officer or anyone else watching a monster truck is make sure you're far away.
Melbourne, Australia. It's a special live broadcast of Potluck, a talent contest for ordinary, everyday citizens, like Todd Rickson. He's the next lucky contestant.
How dare you wear my old body? What's your name?
Todd Rickson.
Todd Rickson. How are you, Todd?
Really good,
and you're a dancer, obviously, are you?
Sure I am.
It's a pretty outfit, isn't it? Hey?
Potluck host Ernie Sigley believed he was in the presence of a rising star.
Got lots of spangles and all that sort. He was quite jazzed up, as we say, and I thought, well, he looks so good. You know, he looks like another Gene Kelly. I thought he's going to be really good. Act number 6, dancer Todd Rickson. Todd Rickson.
15 years of lessons and a flashy costume add up to this moment. He's hoping that this performance will be his big break. Todd rises to the occasion. He gyrates, kicks, and spins through his elaborate routine with energetic precision. Todd is about to attempt his signature move, the Rickson Sky Kick. But there's trouble. He tries desperately to catch up by snapping to the beat. Although his fingers say yes, his leg says no. The stage falls dark and silent. A slow-motion replay reveals that Todd injures himself during his explosive overhead kick. Then, his dynamic dance turns into a painful prance. Clearly in agony, the undaunted performer refuses to quit. But he can't find the rhythm. And the show can't go on.
You've done it, have you?
Yeah.
Oh, I think he's done a hamstring there. You all right? Never mind, mate. Well, I think we'll just take a commercial break, I think.
There's like 1,000 daggers going up my arm, up my leg. I was petrified, absolutely petrified, thinking that my dancing career was over. I was really embarrassed at the same time, so I knew that a lot of my friends were sitting there watching me.
It was quite an amazing moment on television. I mean, I'd hosted many, many television shows, and I'd never seen anything like this before. The boy was halfway through his routine, and then he just collapsed.
Remarkably, Todd's dancing days didn't end on Potluck. After months of rehabilitation and years of soul-searching, he returns to the national spotlight to perform his routine on arena television. Wearing his trademark tights, Todd completes his number without incident.
Ladies and gentlemen, Todd Rickson! Congratulations. Have a seat.
Todd conquers his dancing demons, but he will never forget the night that a high kick led to the low point of his career. Cape Canaveral, Florida. America's largest unmanned rocket is about to blast off carrying a top-secret spy satellite.
And liftoff of America's silent hero, the Air Force Titan IV.
This billion-dollar spacecraft is powered by highly volatile solid rocket fuel. one tiny malfunction could cause a catastrophic explosion. Since the government's satellite program has been plagued by problems, this event is being closely monitored from every angle. The first few seconds of the launch are the most critical. So far, so good. The rocket soars to 20,000 feet. But suddenly, it explodes into a fireball of flame. Watch again. 40 seconds into the flight, the sky is filled with fire.
At this time, it appears we've had a major malfunction of the vehicle. There has been an explosion.
The blast showers the Earth with 4 million pounds of molten metal and blazing rocket fuel. Now, a deadly cloud hangs over the launch site. The Air Force cameramen run for their lives.
Get out of here!
Fortunately, a strong wind carries the toxic fumes out to sea. Investigators later determined that faulty wiring caused the explosion. Amazingly, no lives were lost in this devastating blast. Flagler Beach, Florida. A half-century-old fishing pier is undergoing reconstruction. 650 feet from shore, a crane is being used to dismantle the last of the old wooden pilings. But a severe storm is moving in, with waves building in size and power. Back on the pier, the construction workers race to protect their tools and equipment. As the storm gets closer, John Toft senses they're in great danger.
My goal was to secure what we had out there and leave, naturally, as quickly as we possibly could.
The surf swells to 15 feet. Toft and fellow worker John Anderson are attempting to tie down the crane. But suddenly, a massive wave smashes over the pier. It slams the crew with full force. Sweeping Anderson into the churning sea. Anderson, in the dark clothing, is standing behind Toft when the breaker hits. Toft runs to throw him a life preserver, but it's too late. Anderson is nowhere to be found. The men search for Anderson, unaware that their own lives are in danger.
Got to count contractor personnel.
Just 10 feet away, a section of the pier sways in the pounding surf. Then suddenly, the towering structure collapses into the raging ocean.
This marks the end of the pier.
The sound of the waves was deafening, thundering. And there was a large creaking sound, and then it was gone.
Somehow, Toft and another man make it to safety. They dodge the heavy beams that crash down around them. Despite this horrifying close call, the men turn their attention back to their co-worker, who is yet to be seen. Then they spot something in the water. It's John Anderson, and he's alive.
I remember hitting the water and then looking up and staying away from all the extra lumber that's down there. And I can still see there's more of it still coming down.
Anderson struggles to stay afloat as giant sections of wood rain down from the disintegrating pier.
Well, I remember being in the water and looking for something to hold on to. I had a bunch of coats and everything on. I kept going south, and I was heading south hard.
The current sweeps Anderson out of harm's way, allowing him to escape with only minor injury.
I'll never forget the day we were out there and the power of the ocean. I'm very fortunate and very lucky that we all walked away from there unscathed and unhurt.
Still to come, a chopper crashes into a mountain, requiring a daring rescue. And a show-off in a car loses control and crashes. Later, a cop's flashbang blows up point blank, incapacitating a SWAT team.
Edmonton, Canada. It's a peaceful winter's day. The serenity is shattered when the driver of this car accidentally hits the gas instead of the brakes. Let's watch again. His out-of-control vehicle hurtles past the stop sign and jumps the curb. Its first victim is a street sign. This parked car is next on the hit list. After mowing down another sign, the car smashes a second vehicle. Then, to the relief of insurance companies everywhere, the destructive driver comes to a halt. Despite the damage to her car, one victim of this rampage takes it with a smile.
I wish you would have told us. I'm going to get a new car. I wanted to come back and hit it again.
The car's driver, Sherman Townsend, remembers the moment he went slip-sliding away.
It looked like a sheet of ice. Kept sliding.
Although he lost control of his car, at least Sherman hasn't lost sight of what's important.
I really hit the car when a live person.
Green Bay, Wisconsin. A police SWAT team surrounds the home of a desperate man who is threatening to kill himself. Officer Michael Crabb is carrying a non-lethal weapon called a flashbang grenade. The police plan to use the explosive device to distract the suspect as they move in. But seconds after they enter the house, the cops come racing out. The home is filled with the odor of natural gas. Officer Crabb holds on to the grenade, fearing that one spark could blow the house to bits. The police take cover behind a truck, when suddenly the dangerous weapon explodes in the officer's pocket, generating 2,000 degrees of searing heat. The SWAT team is stunned by the blast. Watch again. As Officer Crabb charges from the house, the grenade is in his right hand. He's already pulled the pin. If he lets go of the trigger, the grenade will go off. As Crabb crouches behind the truck, he jams the safety pin back into the weapon, but it malfunctions. The grenade explodes. 4 officers are temporarily blinded by the bright light. Crabb limps back to the truck, his uniform torn to shreds. He finally gives in to the excruciating pain and collapses to the ground. His fellow officers rush to his side and call for paramedics. Although Officer Crabb suffers second-degree burns, he survives the horrifying ordeal. The suspect who caused the standoff is apprehended and sent to jail. The tape of this explosive mishap is now used as a training tool by the Green Bay Police. It proves that even when the most experienced officers do everything by the book, accidents can still happen. Wellington, New Zealand. Test driver Klaus Heimel spends the morning practicing for a very important demonstration. He's preparing to put this new BMW sports car through its paces for the company's top executives. In Klaus's expert hands, the vehicle performs with remarkable precision. Now, the moment of truth has arrived. The executives watch anxiously. Klaus tries to impress his bosses with a difficult 360-degree spin. He speeds down the track at 50 miles an hour. But then, Klaus's world turns upside down. Let's look again. As he goes into the turn, Klaus loses control. And the driving test turns into a crash test. Klaus is able to walk away from his dizzying mishap, but the company's new car is totaled. The next time these executives want to roll out a new vehicle, it's unlikely that Klaus will get the call. Melbourne, Australia. It's a hot summer day, 110 degrees and climbing. Thousands of people pack the beach. But their day of fun in the sun is about to take a dark and terrifying turn. Suddenly, a massive cloud engulfs the city.
Just about 3 o'clock, a huge cloud just enveloped the whole area. And all of a sudden, we were in practical darkness.
Traffic slows to a crawl. And planes are stranded in the sky as visibility drops to 0. Frightened citizens panic, choking and gasping for air as they struggle to get indoors.
I think some people did think that perhaps it was the end of the world.
The suffocating cloud rolls into the city at 50 miles an hour. Melbourne is plunged into darkness. But what looks otherworldly turns out to be a dust storm. The devastating natural disaster is the result of a severe drought. In the outback, miles of dry land have become airborne. The blanket of red earth turns the crowded downtown into a swirling dust bowl. Then, as quickly as it appears, the cloud is gone. But the citizens of Melbourne will never forget the 140,000 tons of dust that turned a bright sunny day into the city's darkest hour. Gila County, Arizona.
I advise them we have 3 rescuers, 1, 2, 3 in the creek bed. Is that still correct?
An Air Force Black Hawk helicopter has been called in to rescue 3 men trapped in a rugged mountain gorge, known as Hell's Hole. News chopper pilot Jerry Clifton is following the Black Hawk to record the dramatic rescue.
Hell's Hole is a very rocky canyon, tall trees. There's absolutely no place to land.
The Black Hawk descends into the rocky chasm and lowers a hoist to pull the first man up.
Hoist is going down on the right side.
Jerry radios the men on the ground to help coordinate the rescue.
Okay, Air Force advises 1 man at a time with as much equipment as you can carry. Get the donut underneath your armpits, sit on the paddle.
One of the men responds on a walkie-talkie.
That's affirmative. 1 at a time, as much equipment as we can.
The chopper's winch slowly raises the first man to safety, while the other 2 wait below.
One coming out. You got 1 coming out.
But as the Black Hawk tries to climb out of Hell's Hole, Jerry spots trouble.
What the heck is he doing? What is he doing?
The airship begins to lose power, signaling disaster.
He's going down. He's going down.
The chopper disappears from view as it plunges into a steep granite wall.
Roger. Okay, emergency. The chopper went down. Send some help.
The Black Hawk crashes into a creek bed, spilling fuel and bursting into flames.
You got guys diving out.
Looks like we have survivors, but get us the help as soon as possible.
Jerry quickly radios for assistance.
Just get whatever you can. Try the Air Force, National Guard. Gonna need heavy lift helicopters in here as fast as possible. I can count at least 6 people that appear to be somewhat mobile.
Somehow, Mike Cermeño, a paramedic on board the Black Hawk, has managed to escape the fiery wreckage.
You could hear the blades hitting the rocks and coming apart. And I'm sitting there, you know, just being afraid to get out of the helicopter because you didn't know what was coming apart out there.
Mike finds a walkie-talkie and makes radio contact with Jerry up in the news chopper.
Number 22, TV3.
Go ahead, give me an update. What is your situation down there? How many survivors do you have at this point?
All survived, all survived.
But one of the airmen, Bruce Mabry, is pinned beneath the crushing weight of the burning chopper.
The engineer was looking down at me, hollering at me to get out, and everything just turned completely still and quiet, and I said, I can't, I'm trapped.
The blades have come off, but the engine's still running. The hub is still spinning around, and the aircraft is just pulsating up and down, and you can just see it pounding on his leg.
But there's another danger. The fire is spreading with deadly speed.
Everybody kept yelling, we need to get out of here, because by then the helicopter was on fire.
Mike refuses to leave Bruce's side, choosing instead to try and free the desperate airman.
I just told Mike, I said, yeah, get out of here, you know, you guys gotta go. And he just said, no. He said, you and me, we're gonna stay here until the fire goes out.
They were there to help you to begin with. You just don't leave them.
Jerry races back to the command post to pick up rescue equipment. Within minutes, he returns to the crash site with supplies. The fire is out, but Mike has desperate news. Bruce's condition has taken a turn for the worse.
Okay, TV3's back with you.
Affirmative. We need equipment to amputate a leg. We need more equipment.
Okay, I'm coming in now.
When I looked underneath the helicopter, things weren't where they were supposed to be. The leg was pretty mashed. So I think I had probably already resigned myself to the fact that one was gone.
Jerry steadies the chopper as his cameraman drops supplies out the door.
Okay, start dropping.
Within minutes, he finally gets the news he's been hoping for. Help is on the way.
In my 30 years of flying, probably the sweetest radio communication I've ever heard is when the Department of Public Safety helicopter called and said, we're 5 minutes out, what can we do to help?
Using long lines and rescue baskets, chopper teams set out for the crash site to free Bruce from the wreckage. An hour later, he is returned to safety. Medics rush Bruce to a waiting chopper and airlift him to the nearest hospital. Sadly, his shattered leg cannot be saved. But he's alive, and he owes it to the bravery and dedication of men like Mike Cermeño and Jerry Clifton, two real-life heroes.
Cermeño and the people that actually took care of us are the ones that deserve to be heroes. They saved our lives. So, well, I know they saved my life.
Seminole County, Florida. 7 years ago, Deputy Rick Colentis lost his teenage son in a tragic car accident.
If I can prevent other people from being injured, then they're not going to see or wake up the same way with the same feelings I do every day.
Today, those solemn words will be put to the test. A high-speed pursuit has just entered the deputy's jurisdiction. Police have blocked freeway exits to keep the dangerous driver off of crowded city streets. But the fugitive has a plan of his own. He approaches an off-ramp and nearly slows to a stop. Then suddenly guns it around the roadblock. Now he's speeding down local roads that are filled with afternoon traffic. Rick tries to stay close as the suspect weaves between cars.
He was getting more and more reckless, which was giving us even more concern that he was going to take and cause a serious accident.
Then the driver enters a school zone just as students are being let out of class. He swerves, causing a near collision between a police car and a school bus packed with children. Then, the suspect races through a parking lot and heads back onto the street. Deputy Colentis tries to close in, but the deranged driver hits the gas. The man approaches a busy intersection, then does the unthinkable. The fugitive barrels into head-on traffic going the wrong way. Luckily, he swerves back into the right lane. But up ahead, there's another danger. He's racing toward another school zone. This one is crowded with elementary students whose lives are now at risk.
I knew I had to stop this vehicle before it got to the school zone.
The deputy speeds into position, then makes his move. Look again. The officer rams the side of the SUV, causing it to careen into a white pickup before it flips and skids to a stop. The impact forces the deputy to lose control and slam into a tree. But somehow, he staggers to his feet and races to apprehend the suspect. The man is pulled through the sunroof and taken into custody. But what about the other driver?
When I looked up and saw the white pickup truck, I was just hoping that nobody'd be injured.
Fortunately, he is uninjured. Thanks to the courageous actions of Deputy Colintas, the high-speed terror ended before innocent children were endangered.
I had just seconds to make my decision. I could not live with the fact that this individual might end up going into a school zone and injuring or even killing somebody.
Up next, a fireworks factory explodes with 13 workers trapped inside. And a hot air balloon catches fire, engulfing the area in flames. With the world's most amazing videos continues.
The peaceful village of Devon is home to one of England's largest fireworks factories. But the tranquility is shattered when a tiny spark sets off 18,000 pounds of explosives. 13 workers are still trapped inside the building as the firestorm rages out of control.
It was a bit like a caged tiger that actually you had as a pet, and suddenly you realised that when it got out of the cage and it was hungry and it was angry, that it was turning into a sort of monstrous beast.
Firefighters arrive as more blasts rock the village.
I was actually only about 80 yards away from the building when it literally exploded into pieces.
Panicked residents flee their homes and businesses. Among them is Michael Perry from a neighboring mill.
People running for cover, people in hysterics crying, running up the road. There was debris flying over the top of our mill, landing everywhere in the road.
The endless barrage launches blazing fragments of glass and debris in every direction.
People 10 miles away who said that their window panes rattled.
The firefighters must stay clear because there is no way to tell how much gunpowder is yet to explode. They are unable to reach the workers inside.
There's a girlfriend of ours works in there. I expect she's dead.
After an intense battle, firefighters managed to bring the inferno under control. As rescue workers dig through the rubble, they discover that miraculously, all 13 workers have gotten out alive.
When you consider the power of this blast, it really is a miracle.
Gambia, Spain. It's graduation day at this elementary school, and the kids are filled with excitement. They yell, scream, and jump up and down as the students are called up to receive their diplomas. When the ceremony is over, the teachers assemble everyone for a picture. But the rickety stage is not designed to hold the entire class. As the rowdy kids push and shove toward the center, there's trouble. The stage collapses under the tremendous weight, sending the graduates crashing to the floor. Thankfully, the children suffered only a few cuts and scrapes. Let's take another look. One moment, the kids are having fun. But then they tumble to the ground. When it's over, the stage lies in ruins. Looking at the destruction, it's a miracle that none of the children are injured. Heimaey, Iceland. This tiny nation is home to some of the most ferocious volcanoes on Earth. It's an island of extremes, where ice meets fire. Just before 2 o'clock, the fishing village is rocked by a violent eruption. A mile-long crack splits the island in two. On the north side, the red-hot lava quickly reaches the sea. To the south, a river of fire heads straight toward town. Fountains of flaming lava force Smári Hardison and his family out of their home.
The ground opened up and spilled a lot of really red lava high up to the mountain. The whole town, just everything just went wet.
Within 2 hours, 5,000 people, many of them small children, are running for their lives. It's just a matter of time before their homes are destroyed. Their only hope now is to escape the island with the few possessions they can carry. The villagers head toward the harbor where 60 fishing boats are docked. The water is actually beginning to boil. They're about to take refuge on the trawlers when, in a flash, the onslaught of burning lava heads in a different direction.
Then the lava all of a sudden changed its course. It started heading for the harbor. Our lives here depend on this harbor.
Terrified townspeople can't save their homes from being swallowed up by the raging inferno. But there's still time to save the harbor, the lifeblood of their town. The odds are against them. Never before have men battled a volcano and won. Their only chance to stop the furious flow is to blast millions of gallons of water on the molten rock until it cools and hardens. Volunteers set up giant water pumps and connected to 19 miles of pipeline. As the wall of lava bears down on the harbor, the fearless fishermen prepare for the battle of their lives.
It felt like we had just returned from fighting a war. Except in this war, we were not fighting each other, we were fighting Mother Nature.
Miraculously, the plan works. The seawater cools down the 1,800-degree lava. Even more equipment is brought in, allowing 60 tons of water per minute to be blasted onto the smoldering rock. After working around the clock for days, the nightmare is finally over. The volcano is stopped dead in its tracks. The people have won. Today, the residents of Heimaey have rebuilt their town on the ruins of the past.
There are houses under here and to the harbor. We are standing on top of houses.
But the beauty of the new homes can't hide the ugly reminder of the volcano's savage fury. The people of Heimaey hope and pray that they'll never again have to face down this kind of hell on earth. Galicia, Spain. The annual hot air balloon fiesta is underway. Hundreds of onlookers anxiously await the liftoff of this homemade airship. Workers put the finishing touches on the 60-foot-high balloon. Using a bonfire, they carefully heat the air to inflate the craft. Then suddenly, the balloon erupts into flames. The dangerous fireball hovers perilously above a terrified mother and her child. Then, blazing pieces of the balloon fall from the sky, surrounding the woman and her baby in a hellstorm. The frightened mother cradles her daughter to shield her from burning debris. Then, just as the flames threaten to engulf them, the woman makes a break for it. She tosses her baby into the arms of a firefighter and runs. Amazingly, both mother and child escape without injury. The townspeople help control the blaze, bringing an end to this fiery night of terror. But they will never forget the moment their celebration nearly turned to disaster.
If you want to watch more amazing videos, then we have the link for you. Just check the links in the description and watch full videos on Google Drive and the Internet Archive. Or use the link to archive the show yourself if you want to. Take advantage of this in case the show becomes lost media, so you can watch more amazing videos today.
Le Bourget, France. The Paris Air Show is the world's largest display of aviation and weapons technology. The Russian Sukhoi Su-30 is one of the world's most advanced fighter jets. The pilot and navigator are ready to perform a difficult low-altitude demonstration. The takeoff is perfect. The plane soars through the air with grace and power. Twisting and rolling to the delight of the crowd. The pilot goes into a dangerous flat spin maneuver. A steep nosedive that few are brave enough to attempt. But he's coming down too fast. He can't pull up. And suddenly, disaster. The tail hits the ground and the pilot struggles to regain altitude. But it's too late. Watch again. The left engine scrapes the runway and bursts into flames. Volatile fuel could explode at any moment, so the pilot and the navigator eject. The two men rocket away from the burning aircraft. Thankfully, they survived this low-altitude ejection. The men float safely back to Earth. Nearby, the $100 million war machine has been reduced to a pile of flaming wreckage. This accident proves that when you push these fighter jets to the extreme, the results can be explosive. St. Augustine, Florida. A small plane is in big trouble. Pilot Scott Gordon makes an emergency call to the airport control tower. The landing gear under the right wing of his Piper Arrow is jammed and won't come down. Scott is advised to circle over the runway so mechanic Joe Lippo can evaluate the problem.
Scott flew by the terminal, and the only thing we could really determine was the wheel was coming out of the well about 4 inches and stopping, wouldn't come any further.
The plane is running dangerously low on fuel, and there's no time to waste. Fire trucks and ambulances are standing by as operations manager Jim Mosier quickly assembles a team of experts to devise a rescue plan.
Jim came up with the idea to pull a trailer behind the truck. and we were going to drive down the runway and maybe set that wing on that trailer.
I'm just going to go as fast as I can go, and you just see what it looks like for you, okay?
The plan is to tow the trailer down the runway at 90 miles an hour. Scott will attempt to land on his two good wheels while resting his right wing on the back of the speeding flatbed. The maneuver is technically possible, but extremely hazardous.
It took about 90 miles an hour because that's what it took to keep that airplane in the air. Anything less than that, it doesn't want to fly.
Scott flies into position, and Jim floors the truck. But it's not going fast enough. If Scott tries to land at this slow speed, the plane will crash. At the last second, he aborts the landing. Then, with time running out, the men are forced to try an even more daring strategy. First, they borrow a turbocharged sedan. Then, Joe plans to reach through the sunroof and pull down the disabled landing gear. If this doesn't work, all hope is lost.
Worst case scenario there is the airplane coming down on top of the car, and I would be the nail and he'd be the hammer.
Now, the plane is running only on fumes. Joe knows this is his last chance to save Scott. Amazingly, he does it. Watch again. As Joe grabs for the landing gear, the plane lifts inches out of his reach. But Scott makes a quick adjustment.
And you could hear the throttle come off, and he dropped about 8 inches, just enough to get my hand around the top of the wheel. And I gave it one little tug, it didn't want to come, and then I put everything into it I had, and it snapped loose and came down.
Having accomplished this seemingly impossible mission, Scott is able to make a safe landing, and not a moment too soon.
Oh, man. Good work, Donnie.
It's a first for me, but it's better than tearing up the belly of the airplane, so it worked, and everything turned out fine.
Scott owes his life to a resourceful ground crew that was willing to lend a helping hand. Horizon City, Texas. A road has been washed out by a raging flash flood, and incredibly, this driver is going to try to cross it.
I thought to myself, these guys are going to stop. But they kept going through the arroyo.
He plows his vehicle right into the water. The compact car gets swallowed by the mighty current. The river sweeps the car downstream, with the driver and his passenger trapped inside.
Ready? Call 911, hurry!
One of the men manages to open his door, but just as he is about to bail out, the situation takes a dangerous turn. The car is rolled onto its roof. Now the men are caught upside down and underwater.
I really thought they were going to drown. It's pretty scary.
Call 911!
As the seconds tick away, so do their chances for survival. Bystanders on the shore scan the river for a sign of life. Suddenly, someone is spotted in the water. The driver has escaped, but his passenger is nowhere to be seen. All hope seems lost. And then, the passenger finally emerges. Let's watch again. The tiny car is swallowed immediately by the violent water, trapping the terrified men. Then, after what seems like an eternity, they finally emerge.
It took them I'd say about a good 20 to 30 seconds to get out of that car.
As the man tries to escape, the relentless current flips the car toward him. Watch as he narrowly avoids being pinned by the tumbling vehicle. Then he staggers to shore where emergency crews are waiting. Meanwhile, the driver is washed a quarter-mile downstream before being pulled to safety. The two men have cheated death. Their mangled car is left stranded midstream. A A warning sign to anyone else who might be foolish enough to try and challenge this raging river.
That's the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Each day, police officers across the country put their lives on the line in high-speed pursuits. You're about to see one of the most unusual police chases ever caught on tape. Cobb County, Georgia. An officer's dash cam rolls as he stops a motorist for speeding. But he's so determined to inform the female driver of her mistake that he makes one of his own. He forgets to put his car in park.
On the back, there's a number you can call if you have any additional questions.
Suddenly, the officer realizes he's guilty of his own moving violation. Let's watch again. The panicked policeman chases his car as it rolls away. But can he capture his runaway vehicle before embarrassment turns into disaster? Thankfully, the officer catches a lucky break, and his nightmare is over. Even though the cop is worn out by his perilous pursuit, he still manages to do his duty and give the woman her ticket.
I don't know.
When his fellow officers saw this video evidence, you can bet they wanted to write him a citation for carelessness.
These were some of the craziest moments seen around the world. True stories of real people in real danger. See you next time for more of the world's most amazing videos.